And so now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Cortez, who's going to talk about the verification process. I did want to mention that I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but if you do have questions, particularly about anything, but I know the verification process can be a little overwhelming, feel free as she's going through her slides to put things in the chat. Like if you have questions that come up as you see them, and we will make sure that they get answered at the end. We're also going to leave space at the end to answer any questions that you may have. So please feel free to put things in the chat as we go along. It's all yours, Lakeisha.
Hi guys, good afternoon. My name is Lakeisha Vallon-Cortez and I am one of the assistant directors in the Office of Financial Aid. So we're going to kind of go through and talk about what this EOF verification process will look like, what you can expect, documentation, and different things like that. Okay. So Educational Opportunity Fund, EOF, I know Randy touched on this, but New Jersey Educational Opportunity Fund provides financial assistance and support services to students who attend higher education in the state of New Jersey. Right, so undergraduate grants can range from $200 annually to about $2,650. It all depends on the institution and the financial need. And then these grants will be renewable from year to year as long as you maintain eligibility. Rutgers, usually the annual eligibility right now, it's going to change a little bit, but we usually estimate anywhere about $1,600 for the year. But that official amount will be set soon by the state. But who is eligible? So students who have been New Jersey residents for 12 consecutive months prior to the award period, and then students who meet the EOF guidelines. That's basically meaning that you have to adhere to HESA's family size, income cutoffs, and asset cutoffs. And then we'll look at that as well in a little bit. And then students are also required to maintain full-time status. Okay, so here's the 2022-2023 academic year eligibility for EOF and the asset cutoff. So this will kind of give you an idea based off of the household size, where the gross income has to be for that specific household size, and then as well as assets. So assets can kind of consist of money in checking and savings, or if you have like a money market or investment accounts, or if your family owns a business or you own a business, different things like that. So that's what the assets refer to. So documentation that's required for EOF verification. So students wanting to participate in the EOF program must go through a process which is called verification. So this verification process allows the Office of Financial Aid to determine if you meet the income requirements that the Higher Education Student Assistance Authority has set in place. So they're not Rutgers guidelines, but they're HESA's, they're the state of New Jersey's guidelines. So documentation that could be requested from you would be asset verification forms. So students may be required to submit asset verification for 2019 and 2020. So the 2 years is going to be dependent on whether you've received EOF before, if you're coming in as a transfer student, or whether you haven't. So that's what's going to determine whether you need to verify 2 tax years or just 1. Students will also be required to do a household verification form, and that's kind of just you certifying who's in your household, how many people are in college, if you receive any type of benefits, so like Social Security benefits, SSI, SNAP, TANF. If you select any of those on your FAFSA application, then you'll have to verify that information as well. Students will also be required to submit tax return transcripts for 2020. But again, there's some students that will have to submit this for 2 tax years, so 2019 and 2020. So it's important for students to make sure that they wait to receive notification from the Office of Financial Aid before actually submitting documentation, okay? So we have a new system for this upcoming academic year. So it's going to be a little bit different, where students can't just easily come in and just drop off forms. What'll happen is you're going to get a notification letting you know that these documents are being requested from you, and you actually have to click the link and upload them. So you can scan and upload them. You can take a photo of them and save them to your computer, and then scan them up like that. So you just want to make sure that you keep that in mind when you get the notification. Okay, so we're going to talk about the IRS tax return transcript. So this is different than the 1040 that you file, right? So if you do your own taxes and you do your taxes like on TurboTax or some type of site like that, you get a copy of your 1040, or of your tax account. If you go to a tax preparer and they do your taxes, they give you a copy of your 1040. This is completely different, right? A tax return transcript can only be obtained directly from the IRS. It's basically just an official document from the IRS, which kind of takes your 1040 and composes it into this new document. So that's all that is. You can request these a couple different ways: by phone, online, or by mail. The EOF office is very good at helping students kind of walk through these steps. I know that there's videos out there too on how to actually go and request these online, or especially the online process. If you're going to do it by mail, there is a form that you do have to complete, and that's the IRS 4506T form. A lot of students, sometimes what'll happen is they'll take this form, complete it, and then they'll upload it to your portal financial aid site. But this form actually has to get mailed directly to the IRS. And then what the IRS does is, with this request, they mail you back a copy of your tax return transcript or your non-filer letter. And then once you receive it, then you're going to upload it into your portal. So how to review and upload your required documents. So you want to log into your MyRuckers account, and then you're going to open the financial aid portal by finding the My Financial Aid widget. All right, this is exactly what it'll look like when you go out there. So then you're going to click on the Documents tab and clicking on any of the requested documents. So in that right photo, it's kind of small, but like you can see that it'll list out all the items that you're missing. And that's kind of like your to-do list. And then next to it, if you click on the red tab, it'll open it up and let you see or upload it. So then once you actually click on the tab, the document detail and tab, it'll bring you to your individual student portal account. And then once you're in here, you're going to click on the Documents tab. And the Documents tab will show you any documents needed to be reviewed, uploaded, or submitted to verify financial eligibility. You'll see the item. You're also going to see the owner. So it's, for instance, it'll say student if it's requesting your tax returns. It'll say parent 1 or parent 2 if it's requesting your parents. You're also going to see a little description of why it is they need it, or what that actual item is. And then on the far right, you're going to see upload. So if you click on the upload, it would bring you up another screen where you will answer some questions and actually upload your attachment. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about state aid. So New Jersey HESA, New Jersey Higher Education Student Assistance Authority, is the agency that students will need to supply sometimes additional information to if they're looking to be considered for state grants and scholarships. Some of these could be TAG, NJ STARS 2, EOF. We also have some students are New Jersey Dreamers. They're not able to complete a FAFSA application, but they need to complete an alternative application for financial aid. And this can also be done through HESA's website at hesa.org. So it's really important for you to log in and create a New Jersey FAMS account. If you haven't done it already, or you're not sure what it is, you want to make sure you create this account. Once you create an account and you log into your NJ FAMS account, you're going to be able to see a to-do list, like your task list. It's going to show you that your FAFSA has been received. They received your FAFSA. Anything in green is mean everything that you've completed. If there's anything in red, those are the items that you want to complete. That's separate from your verification process with Rutgers Office of Financial Aid. So if he says asking for something specific, you also have to supply that information to them, because that will impact you from receiving any tag eligibility or EOF eligibility, that you may be eligible for. So if you've received New Jersey Tag before, you may be familiar with what that grant is, but it's a need-based state-funded financial aid program for New Jersey residents, right? So the students must be full-time for the 2022-2023 academic year. And right now, the max amount is $10,044. This is also going to change a little bit. This is for our current academic year, but this will just change slightly. And awards will be renewed annually based off of you renewing your FAFSA, and the state will use your FAFSA application to determine your eligibility. It's important that you adhere to filing deadlines, and then the state also has a amount of payments that you are allowed to have. So it's just important. What will happen is, now that you're going to begin the fall semester, after that, you'll be considered a continuing student. So all continuing students are required to submit their FAFSA application by January 15th. If you meet that priority deadline of January 15th for Rutgers, you'll be within your state guidelines for your tag and your EOF, all that stuff. So you want to just make sure when you get your email reminder to renew your FAFSA, to make sure that you just go in and renew it by that January 15th date. So some important dates to remember. So Monday, September 30th will be the last day to indicate if you would like to withdraw from EOF consideration. We're also anticipating that Friday, November 18th is the last day to turn in verification documents to the Office of Financial Aid in order to be considered for the EOF program. It's important that students remember that once you let the EOF office know that you do want to be considered, once you're open for verification, you have to complete the verification process and turn in all the documentation that's being requested from you. Not turning in your documents can stop your financial aid that you're already receiving from crediting to your term bill. So it's very important that once you receive your notice of the documents that are needed, that you begin the process to start submitting those documents. So for instance, like after this session, if you already know that, this is something that you want to go through with, I would just start, even though it may be a week or two before you receive notification from us to start submitting docs, start requesting your IRS tax return transcripts, because that's something that you're going to need, and it's going to take some time for you to get it in the mail. So this is the contact information for the EOF office. It's their phone number and their email. This is also the number for the Office of Financial Aid. When you call this number, you'll get our contact center. And they're pretty good when you specify that, you're coming in as an EOF student. If there's anything that they can't handle, they'll make sure that you get connected with me. You can also submit an inquiry to the Office of Financial Aid at this link that's here, and then that will come to our office. And I would just, in your inquiry, just specify that you're EOF, and then they're pretty good at getting, those inquiries over to me. And so I guess now we're going to open it for questions, and I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Lakeisha. I do want to reiterate a few things. So as Lakeisha mentioned, we are going to start the verification process. So those of you who are with us today on August 3rd and who are, and we have some who are not able to join us today, but have applied. So if you've applied at this point, we are going to start the verification process next week. So I'm going to send Miss Lakeisha a list of your names saying, yes, we're going to start this process. And then she's going to quote unquote open you up, right, for verification. So you're going to start getting notifications probably sometime at the latter end of next week that say, hey, you have some documents you have to submit now in your financial aid portal. And so I want to make sure, as Miss Lakeisha said, that you do want to continue in this process, right? So after, listening to what financial verification is going to entail and knowing that these documents are time sensitive and you don't want to drag this process out because you don't want to have any issues with your financial aid. If you're like, I can't do this, or I don't want to commit to this, or I don't want this support, please let me know via email before Monday. If I don't hear from you, I am going to send a follow-up email with the recording from today so that if you're like, I need to watch this again, or if you were unable to join us, you can watch it now and then just kind of get the information about the verification session. If I don't hear from you after I send out that email, I'm just going to assume you want to move forward and we're going to start the process next week. For anyone who applies after this week and is watching the recording session, that date of September 30th will be the last day to withdraw your name from the EOF process. And then we're going to start the verification process after that. So just make sure that if you are going to become part of the program and you're going to commit to this process, that you're committing to the process. We will support you throughout it. So EOF will support you. We'll reach out and make sure that if you have any questions or anything that you need help with the documents, that we will support you in that. And so will the Office of Financial Aid. They're great about helping you, walk you through anything that you may have. So, some of it's time consuming, but a lot of it is just committing to the process and then asking for help when you need it. Every document for every student is going to be a little bit different. It's going to depend on the person, right? So some people have a lot of documents they have to submit. Some people have just a few, but you all will need to request tax transcripts. So as Ms. Lakeisha mentioned, doing that process now, I put some links in the chat that may be helpful. The link to the IRS website and a YouTube video that we created to walk you through the process of how you obtain tax transcripts, because there are several different ways. So you can get started on those things now, and tax transcripts tend to be the longest thing that holds students up because they can take a few weeks to come in the mail if you get them through the mail. So those are just some things I want to reiterate. And now I want to see if there are any questions. I do see that we have somebody's hand raised. And so I'm going to get to that in a second. I just want to make sure I mentioned before that if you could if you're present with us today, if you could put your name in the chat so I can make sure that I mark that you were here in the session today. Okay, so I think the first hand I saw up was Gigi. You can unmute yourself. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I have a question about the first link you sent. It was the IRS tax transcript. So I am on a website and I heard you say the 2020 year. But on here, there's like different kind of transcripts, like a return transcript or account, like, there's multiple things. So I don't know exactly what to like select.
It's a return transcript.
Okay,
So
all right.
that's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question because sometimes people will put account transcript. It's a return one. So it's make sure that when you are requesting it, it's a return transcript.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I think we had Amina.
Hi, I just realized that I'm signed in under my daughter's account, but my name is different. I didn't realize until I clicked the link. So just put my name in the chat.
Yes. I guess if it's whoever this is for. So if it's for your daughter, whoever's applying to the program, so I can just make sure that I know that they attended today.
Okay, are you gonna send it to the Rutgers email or the personal email?
Whatever email that I have in the application that was completed is typically where I send it to, because I know that person's checking their email.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then we had somebody, just a Zoom user, so I'm not sure who you are, but you feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry, I don't know how to change my name on here.
It's okay.
So I also went on the IRS website and it says like there's one for get your transcript online and then there's one by mail. Would you prefer to have it like online or by mail?
Okay, so that's a great question. So I would say try online. So I'm gonna be honest that a lot of times students struggle with the online part. It's been a while since I've created an online account, but I believe that you have to have like certain identifiers or certain kind of information in order to even create an online account. And so if that's the case, I'm going to stop share for a second because I'm going to go on the IRS website. Then you should do by mail, but there's like 2 different ways to go by mail. So I'm going to make sure that let me go to the IRS website. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So you're on the IRS website, and now you can see there's different option and you go, so where I sent you guys a link to was get your tax record. So if you just went to irs.gov, you would just go to get your tax record, and then it's showing you all the different things, right? So of course, I always recommend trying the online account. If that doesn't work, which often happens for people, that's fine. The next thing would be to do get transcript by mail. This is better than the third option, which I'll get to you in a second. But if you go to get transcript by mail, you click on this, you have this warning, and then it's literally just filling in this information. So the important thing to remember is that it's for the person you're requesting it for. So for example, if you didn't file taxes, but you're dependent on your parent, right? And they filed taxes in 2020 and they need the 2020 tax return transcript. It would be their information that goes here, right? So because they're gonna pull whoever's social security number is, whoever's date of birth it is, and that's the file associated with it. If you needed your own tax transcript, you would do the same thing again for yourself. And you would do this. The annoying thing about this is you have to do it multiple times, right? So if you want like 2 years of tax transcripts, you need one for 2019 and 2020, you'd have to do it again for 2019. In the video that I posted in the YouTube video in the chat, and I'm also going to send that video out when I send this recording, I do walk you through how to get this, right? So it's pretty easy. Once you just fill in the information, you hit continue, it's going to ask you what you're looking for. Again, it's a return transcript, and then you're putting the year. And so, and once you do that, it should come in like 2 weeks. They're pretty good about sending them out by mail this way. So that's the next best option besides creating an online account. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I also have another